Going back to the past, we are learning the legends of Dragonic Overlord and Phantom Blaster Dragon. So let's begin, but first, cards from the last few days. So we start out with Dark States with Special Violence Yell. It's a grade 3 Blitz order, and its ability is choose a Diablo's Violence Bruce on your Vanguard rearguard, and it gets power plus 2000 to the end of that battle. So basically, a 20k shield for your Bruce. Not bad at all. To continue off to Cater Sanctuary, we got some Sorceress support with a double rare, Diaglass Sorceress, grade 1, 8k power and skills. Auto, when this card is placed on rearguard from hand, if your Vanguard is Hexagorb or Pentagram Sorceress, cost count plus 1, discard a card from hand, look at top 2 cards of your deck, choose up to 2 units from among them and call them to rearguard. Put the rest at the top of the deck in any order. Well, Sorceress is about stacking the top cards of your deck to make sure that you get triggers, but if you have this in hand and you know your top cards are not going to be triggers and mainly unit cards, well, you can refill some of your board. So it does have its uses, although you mainly want to stack the trigger cards though. And then to our common, Octerra Ward Sorceress, grade 3, 13 power and skills. Auto rearguard. When you drive check a trigger unit, if your Vanguard is Hexagorb Sorceress, cost retire this unit, and then counter charge 1 or soul charge 1. Like I said, Sorceress is all about drive checking triggers and you have ways to stack them. So the condition shouldn't be that hard, and gain that counter charge and soul charge can be nice. And also, since there is a grade 3 that can superior call itself during a drive check, this being retired isn't too bad to combo off with that card. And then we go to Dragon Empire, we got a double rare, Stealth Dragon Tokachirashi, grade 1, 7k power and skills. Auto, when this card is discarded from hand during your turn, you may put this to soul. Well, you can always use Nirvana to discard this card to superior call grade 0 and then put this to soul after. I mean, the only card that uses soul for the overdress deck is Verena, at least at the moment, but who knows, Aegir might be using soul as well, so this might actually have some good use. And if there are discards for retires for Eugene, well, more soul for Eugene. So overall, pretty decent. And then we go to Brandgate, we got a rare Carnadol support, Carnago Plasma Elcopa, grade 1, 8k power and skills. Auto rearguard. When this card attacks or boosts, if your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, cost retire a Shadow Army token and countercharge 1. Budget-friendly archetype support that can countercharge. It will kinda suck that you bought those Godzillas while they were raising up in price, because this can be a budget-friendly countercharger. Although at least Godzilla can put itself to soul to countercharge, so you get 2 resources for that one. But overall it is pretty nice because retiring a Shadow Army token is not too much of a problem when your Orphis itself is just gonna regenerate those tokens. And finally another Cater Sanctuary double rare, this time for Bastion, Heavenly Flight Dragon Prideful Dragon. Grade 3, 13k power and skills. Auto rearguard. When this card attacks, if you have 4 or more grade 3 rearguards, cost counter blast 1, soul blast 1, draw a card. If you persona right this turn, you can have this card get plus 5k and 1 crit instead until the end of the turn. Pretty decent, gives you a draw, which can be very nice, and the condition shouldn't be hard for Bastion, but that extra power and crit can be very helpful, especially because it's until the end of the turn, meaning you can have this card be the first one that attacks, have it gain the power and crit, and then just stand it with Bastion after, which gives you 2 attacks with 2 crits. And people should know how devastating that can be. And now before we go to the Tuesday stream, here is more Clan Collection Plus cards. And I would say pretty much all my predictions were right for the prediction video. We're still missing few units and few clans in this entry, but so far pretty much almost all of them are right. I'm particularly most excited for Promin's Core because Bluish Flame is actually my favorite Gold Paladin archetype. Happy to see Die Kaiser again, even though I don't play Dimensional Police anymore. Some more of those Legion era cards are coming back, and I'm glad to see Pioneer and Pioneer. Steel Dragons was kind of unexpected, although I did predicted it, although I was expecting more with Vortex Dragon Newt because Sing Saber is in this set. More Ancient Dragon support, my friend will like that. Hopefully they keep the true Ancient Dragon playstyle where when you drag check front triggers. But I am most excited about are the Star Vader cards. I was not expecting Infant Zero, in fact I was actually expecting more Nebula Lord, but Infant Zero is fine too. But overall, I am very excited, and I might be thinking about building at least few V decks just to have fun for V, but the stuff that I turned premium, I am not changing that. And now for the Tuesday stream, here are our starters. Yes, Fubao is for Phantom Blaster Dragon, and Undix is for Dragonic Overlord. I was kinda expecting Conroe, but Undix works as well. So let's start up with the Dragonic Overlord ride line with Embodiment of Armor Bar. Grade 1, AK Power and Skillless. Auto, when this card is rode upon by Nahalem, cost Combat 1, search your deck for one Grade 1 card, reveal it and put it to your hand. What's nice is that it could be any Grade 1 card, meaning even Order cards. So we do have an Order card that can interact with Overlord, that'll be great. But its second skill, Auto Rearguard. Once per turn, when your Vanguard attack hits, this card gets plus 5k power until the end of that turn. Well, obviously this is Overlord we're talking about, so he's gonna get multiple attacks. And spoiler alert, if you're gonna try to get Overlord's restand skill, he's guaranteed to hit. So this second skill is not too bad, and I am glad it's not one of those generic gain power ride line cards when they attack. And of course our next one will be Dragon Knight Nahalem, which is a grade 2, 10k power. And its skill is that when it's rode upon by an Overlord unit, call this to rearguard. Keep in mind, it could be any Overlord unit. So if they make an Overlord in the future, you can use this skill. Especially because it's not a generic ride line card, because the second skill, act rearguard. Once per turn, if you have a Vanguard with Overlord's name, cost soul last one. This and your Vanguards get 5k power until the end of the turn. Well, this is okay, the extra power can be nice, because keep in mind, Overlord is going to attack multiple times. And another spoiler for Overlord, he is not going to gain any power on his own. Because we go to Dragonic Overlord himself, which is a grade 3 with 13k power, and its skill is, count Vanguard Rearguard. During the battle that this card attacks at Rearguard, your opponent cannot call cards from their hand to the Guardian Circle, meaning they can only guard with Blitz Order or G Guardians if you're at Premium. So yeah, so like I said with Bar, if you're going to play its restand skill, this card is actually guaranteed to hit. Because when you attack a rearguard, your opponent cannot guard it at all, so they have to rely on a Blitz Order. At least if you were playing Standard, which is guaranteed for this card to be in Standard anyway. But its second skill, Auto Vanguard. Once per turn, when this card attack hits, costs counterblast 1, discard a card from your hand, stand this unit, and try -1. So literally copy and paste of V Overlord. Although I could say it is better than V Overlord in some ways, because for one, you are guaranteed the attack hit because of its first skill, not letting your opponent guard any rearguard attacks if this card attacks one. And not only that, it's only a discard 1, compared to the V Overlord where you have to discard 2 cards. So in some ways this is actually better, although this card's lack of power can be an issue, if your opponent's playing Blitz Orders. And now to the Phantom Blaster Dragon ride line, we start off with Blaster Javelin. Grade 1, AK Power and Skillless. Auto, when rode upon by Blaster Dark, reveal the top card of deck. If it's a unit card, call it to rearguard as rest, but discard it if it isn't. This will be important because it will actually combo with Blaster Dark, but that +1 can be very nice. But it also has a second skill where count rearguard during your turn. If your Vanguard is a Blaster card, this unit gets plus 2k power. Because of course it gets the generic ass rearguard power skill. To continue, to the Dark Edgy Avatar Blaster Dark. Grade 2, 10k power and skillless. Auto, when placed on Vanguard rearguard, cost counterblast 1, retire another rearguard, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire, and this card gets drive +1 until the end of that turn. So like I said, Blaster Javelin combos with Blaster Dark. Blaster Dark rides on top of Blaster Javelin. Blaster Javelin plays a skill where you can superior call the top card of your deck, and then you play Blaster Dark skill to retire that rear guard, and then you can retire one of your opponent's rear guards, and then this card gets Twin Drive for the turn. In some cases better than the V Blaster Dark, because unlike the V Blaster Dark, this one doesn't require you to have an empty field. But the thing is, if you're going to be riding that grade 2, most of the time your opponent won't even have that many rear guards, and the retire skill is Vanguard only, which is fine in Overdress Standard, so this skill overall is pretty good. But second skill, count rearguard. During your turn, if a rearguard was retired this turn, this card gets plus 5k power, which is guaranteed because Phantom Blaster Dragon is going to sacrifice your units. Another one of these generic gain power skills. Now if it says gain 5k power for each of your rearguards retired, that would have been much better. And I would actually play this in Premium as well if that was the case. Although in some cases, you're not going to be using the retire skill of V Blaster Dark, so you might actually make that choice of using that 15k power instead. And now we go to Phantom Blaster Dragon, which is of course grade 3 with 13k power and skillless. Auto, when placed on Vanguard, choose a card with Blaster from your soul, and call it to rearguard. Well, I guess you do have an excuse to Persona Ride this now, because if you Persona Ride, you can just call the Phantom Blaster Dragon that is now in your soul to rearguard, giving you another 13k attacker. But if you wrote him in your ride deck, well, you got Blaster Dark as a 15k attacker because its second skill, Act Vanguard. Once per turn, costs counterblast 1, retire 3 of your rearguards, and choose 2 of your opponent's rearguards and retire them. This unit gets plus 10k power and 1 crit until the end of the turn. So basically, very similar to V Phantom Blaster Dragon, the only exception is that V Phantom Blaster Dragon can deal 1 damage to your opponent if you Soul Blast a grade 3, and the other is that V Phantom Blaster Dragon lets your opponent chooses what to retire. But considering that they're going to be retiring 3 of their rear guards, it's almost guaranteed that at least one of them will be actually one of those rear guards that you want dead. But overall, this is pretty balanced. That superior call on riding is actually pretty nice, especially if you Persona Ride, because you could just call Phantom Blaster Dragon every single time with that. You get Choice Retire, which was one of my gripes about V Shadow Paladins, because most of their cards were letting your opponent choice retire, and that power and crit is just standard Phantom Blaster Dragon. But overall, pretty balanced, and I am very tempted to play Phantom Blaster Dragon because I seemingly cannot let go of my Shadow Paladin Dragons and Knights. And also, we got more encounter cards for this set. For Dragon Empire, we got Berserk Dragon and Gojo, most likely to support Dragonic Overlord, and then for Cater Sanctuary, we got Maka and Karen, of course, to support the Phantom Blaster Dragon. And next week we got Verina Elgar. I'm very surprised that this is a grade 2. I mean, usually the cover cards are grade 3s, and it definitely looks like a grade 3 unit to me. So that's it for this stream. What do you guys think about the ride lines for Dragonic Overlord and Phantom Blaster Dragon? I mean, honestly, I don't think nostalgia should be made for the overdress format, but for lore reasons it does kind of make sense, especially I do like the fossilized borders, and overall I would say both of them are pretty balanced. Overlord's low power but pretty much guaranteeing an attack on a rear guard, thus guarantee its restand, is actually pretty nice. And the Phantom Blaster Dragon ride line is just what Shadow Paladins used to do. The main difference that I like is that you get to actually choose what cards to retire on your opponent. But that aside, I am very tempted to build Phantom Blaster Dragon because, like I said, I just cannot let go of my dark edgy knights and dragons. But other than that, have a nice day.